Grimes. Do you love True Crimes podcasts? Then you'll be listening to True Crime Garage, Off the Record. Off the Record is the latest project from True Crime Garage host Nick and the Captain. Ooh, mysterious. What's his real name? Join them each week as they revisit some of the most haunting cases they've covered to date. Off the Record is the extra grit and wit that doesn't make the garage cut, so stay seated and grab another beer. Listen to True Crime Garage Off the Record. Go to StitcherPremium.com/True Crime Garage and use promo code SHADE for a free month of listening. If you didn't know, it's Pride Month, and in honor of it, we want to share some news that you might not know about. Did you know Jonathan Van Ness, friend of the show, friend of me, has a new... It's not new, guys. It's called Getting Curious, and it's on Earwolf, and it's ready for your ear holes. He explores everything and anything under the sun with experts in the field with in-depth, eye-opening conversations about saving bees, learning how to do triple axles, all the things that Jonathan's curious about. You can celebrate Pride Month with Earwolf and go to Getting Curious now on Apple Podcast, Stitchers, or wherever you want to listen, honey. Hi, I'm Feminasty Erin Gibson, and I'm Feminasty Erin Gibson, and this is Throwing Shade. Women's issues, gay issues, pop culture. Where's Brian? Can you handle it? Hi, everyone. Brian is not here. Question asked and answered. He is touring Europe with Rana. They're getting baklava and wasted. I don't know what they're doing. We don't know if he's coming back. He's coming back, but he's not here this week. But we would love for you to enjoy this pre-recorded interview with two people you owe a lot to, Paul Katami and Jeff Zerillo. Enjoy.
I mean, Erin, we have two people here.
We did it again. We brought on great people.
Oh.
I was like, is Brittany here?
Yeah, Brittany. So you couldn't tell that was actually much better voice than Brittany.
Thank you.
We have two people they're fucking trailblazers and influencers, and it's disgusting. Anytime someone's done more than I have in my life,
gratitude.
I have no patience for it. I really resent the shit out of these two guys.
Jeff
Katami and Jeff Zerillo.
Paul Katami, who, by the way, I've known Paul since my first marriage.
Is there someone...
How many marriages are there?
She's on her seventh?
Seventh, eighth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seventh, eighth, she can't remember.
Yeah. You beat Trump.
She did. She beat Trump and Elizabeth Taylor.
This is how...
Well, Elizabeth Taylor's marriages we could talk about for a while. But yeah.
This is how long ago it was. Equinox, 2006. How much was the membership? $80 a month.
Honey.
What's it, $240 now? How much is it now?
It's crazy. It's $240.
Yeah, I don't even know.
$240?
Yeah. It's insane. But if you want the membership with the
Erin,
one...
you must mean $2.40.
I do.
Okay.
But just so you know, Brian wanted you to see he does have Judge Judy on this.
No, I was just making sure that we had the time right.
Oh, okay.
But I do have Judge Judy on my phone.
Oh my God. You do have Judge Judy on your
She's
phone.
right there.
I love
She's
that she's
right there.
like got her chin in her hands.
Does she make like $40 million a year? Too?
More.
I mean, it's
She
crazy.
makes about
She
60 million.
can afford Equinox.
Oh,
She
and yet
certainly
refuses to
can.
go.
And yet won't go.
What people
Or
will do
doesn't
for
go.
Kiehl's product.
But Jeff, you were...
That amino acid shampoo.
Well, I was there
Honey, I'm there for it. I don't go to Equinox, but the couple times I've been as a guest, I take that amino. I literally take a Ziploc and
pump it in there. Yeah,
pump.
I did not hear this. I did not hear this.
Oh, he can absolutely turn it
Then he went in the
corporate.
steam room with it.
Also, I have to say, I do love the signs in the men's steam room that are like, absolutely no touching. They're
but-
like so serious
I
about
mean-
it.
The walls.
Yeah. Only
the
touch each other.
You guys were going through this entire thing while I never knew any of this was going on. You never
Can we
let
say what
on.
the thing is?
Yeah, Jurassic Park. The
They
sequel.
were filming Jurassic Park. No, you guys were front and center for the Prop 8 case were you involved with Perry versus Schwarzenegger or just at the Supreme Court?
Yes.
That is
That is
the
our
Supreme
case.
Court is Perry versus
It's Perry versus Schwarzenegger. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It changes its name when it gets to the court because
That's what I was thinking.
We then become defendants and not plaintiffs.
Oh, that's right. So it's the state versus Perry or something.
So it originally started as Perry versus Schwarzenegger,
Right.
and then Governor Schwarzenegger left office, so it actually transferred to Perry v. Brown.
which is ridiculous.
Right, because they both actually supported
And Schwarzenegger
or
did
didn't-
too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't defend it. He had a chance to sign a marriage equality law, though, and vetoed it.
Although
years
if
ago,
he
but-
did
did?
defend it,
Yeah.
if he had defended it and we still won, we would have not had needed to go back to court in 2015. Not us, but those
Right.
other plaintiffs. So yeah, it's crazy to think about how we became defendants because we won.
Yeah,
And
and
then
it
the
became
Supreme Court was
Hollingsworth
like,
v. Perry. at
That's
the
what it
Supreme
was.
Court, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wait, so break it down. So you lost in the state of California. No, you won in the state of California.
Yes.
And then
Right,
you were
um,
countersued essentially by.
Yes, on 8-1 in California, which means that marriage was illegal. But
Yes.
then Von Walker, I think, right,
Right, right.
reversed the decision, but there was a stay on it.
Yes.
which means like we're not doing anything until the Supreme Court does something.
In a way, it's convoluted. It took like a full 4.5 years to get there. There's a great HBO documentary called The Case Against 8 that lays this out better than I could ever encapsulate it in the next 10 seconds. But yes, Prop 8 passed. We sued. The federal lawsuit went to Von Walker. Von Walker said, no, you should allow people to get married. Then there's a series of other courts in the appellate courts,
Right.
the courts that will go through, and then they all agreed with us as well.
Right.
And then because of that, the Supreme Court took on the case to kind of settle it once and for all, and that was what happened in June of 2013.
So how did you all become involved with the case? How were you approached, or how did you approach? What was that process?
They saw Jeff's porn. No, I'm just kidding. And they were like, he seems like a really cool guy.
Family
right.
values.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
He'll look good in a suit. No. Jeff, do you want to take this? Just as
Are we talking about the porn? Or are we
No. Let the like.
What was the
you know,
porn
like-
called?
Yeah.
Perry versus Hollingsworth.
There was a really nasty video by the National Organization on Marriage. It's called NOM, N-O-M, and it was called The Gathering Storm. And it was like this political
Yes. Do you
30-second ad, and it was these ominous storm clouds, and it was all of these nasty and terrible things that were going to happen if marriage equality became the law of the land. So I had been trying to get Paul to watch it because someone had sent it to me. And this is sort of right around when Facebook was getting popular.
This was like,
so
I remember like
this was
06, 07 or
this-
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
More like 08.
Oh, wait.
Early
Oh, it was
08.
early
so,
08. Okay.
So I finally got Paul to watch it, and he was sitting on the couch, and he stood up off the couch, and he's like, this is ridiculous. This is a bunch of BS. We need to shoot a response video to this. So we gathered the gay mafia got together.
Sure.
And we got everybody we knew, and we went and we shot a shot-for-shot remake of the video, and we called it Weathering the Storm. And it was, instead of storm clouds, it was the sun. And we basically refuted all the lies and misrepresentations. Two of the guys that were in that ad went to a barbecue for Memorial Day after we shot that, and it just happened to be at the house of Chad Griffin, who right now is the president of the Human Rights Campaign, the largest LGBT
He's
organization
the
in
most
the world.
powerful gay man in the universe.
But
right?
at the time, he was.
Well, don't tell Ryan Murphy that, okay?
Yeah.
Ryan Murphy,
close race.
it's close,
scripted.
close second.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. He draws the narrative from Chad's life and makes it into
Correct.
American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Chad's actually starring in Pose right now.
Yes. Yes. Chad seems like the coolest guy, by the way.
Oh my
Chad's
God,
great.
he's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Chad's great,
and as a
and-
house mother, apparently.
House of Griffin.
He is a house. Oh, okay. No, I got it.
Not Peter Griffin.
Right.
Big difference.
Yes.
So we ended up. Chad's like, "Who are these people? I need to meet them," because him and his strategic political. What was it, like a
Christina.
from
Christina.
His
They had,
strategizer?
they had like this political strategy organization, and they were working with Rob Reiner, the actor, and his wife, and they wanted to bring a lawsuit against Prop 8. So they're looking for plaintiffs, and so we got a phone call from his business partner, and she's like, "Hey, we want to meet about what we're thinking about doing about Prop 8." They didn't say anything about a lawsuit, so we went down to this big law firm in downtown, and then they revealed that they were thinking about filing a lawsuit.
And is this
Why
where
is
were
their
Ted
office
Boys?
downtown
Is
and
that how
not
you say his
Culver
name?
Yeah,
Ted Boutros.
It's Ted Boutros.
David Boies.
David Boies.
yeah.
and Ted Olson.
And, oh, right. Okay. So were they already on the case at this point? Is
Ted
that who
was.
you met with?
Yeah,
Ted was.
no, Ted. Well, we met with Ted Boutros, who was at the LA firm for Ted Olson, and we actually said, like, this is cool, educational campaign against Prop 8, but there really should be something that kind of like focuses on the law. And they're like, that's funny that you say that because you're sitting at this massive marble table for a reason. And we're like, oh, and it became a thing where Ted was on, and then the surprise was that David Boies, because they had obviously been to the Supreme Court against each other
Bush
in the
v.
Bush
Gore.
v. Gore
Gore,
case.
And they were on opposing sides.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
you would sit at this table and you would not agree with anything other than marriage equality with Ted Olson.
'Cause I
He
think-
he
right.
also won Citizens
Well,
United.
wine.
He's the reason
We'd
all the
agree with
money's in
wine.
the politics.
Right. Yeah, and that was like his one.
Why is he progressive on that issue? No one knows.
Do you guys know?
He's considered more of a libertarian, which is like, get out of my uterus,
Right.
get out of my bedroom. Government shouldn't be telling you things like that.
So he's like a true
Yeah, I mean,
libertarian.
he said, like, look, it's not like there's someone in my family. There could be, but I'm doing it because I really believe that being married, whether you're gay or straight, is is really a conservative value. It's about being part of a neighborhood and an economy and just making sure that you're contributing in society as well. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. And it was just, he was so incredibly passionate about the issue. I mean, and emotional about the issue.
He really was. He actually one day in court stopped us before we left the federal court building. We were running outside to foam roll our asses because sitting on those benches all day, every day was brutal.
Please tell me you did that.
Yeah, seriously.
You're like hiding from the press so you can phone.
Seriously, I was like, we would squirm
We
around.
went to the steam room. We were in the steam room.
Okay,
Foam rolling in the steam
with the
room.
Kiehl's products.
Yeah. And
that wasn't a foam
at
roller, by the way.
$240 a pop. By the way,
Is that a foam roller? He's happy to see you.
okay. So the point of my story is that Ted Olson got emotional one day and basically pulled us aside with his wife and said, this is the most important thing I've ever done. Because everything else kind of lands in the realm of politics or, if it's, organizational, presidential, we thought would be the most important thing. But he said this in terms of like humanity and treating people fairly and being on the right side of the law. And Jeff just looked at him and said, F you. No, I'm just kidding. He said,
it was certainly more important than giving us George W. Bush.
That's
Yes.
true as well. And Citizens United. So
Yes.
still got a bone to pick with that one.
Right.
But having both of them kind of from both political sides of the aisle kind of erased the politics from it. Like you couldn't say conservative versus liberal. You just got to say this is a fairness issue.
Completely.
And it kind of erased that part of the discussion, which landed us in the part of the discussion about humanity. Like, do you really treat people differently because of who they love?
And I
Super
think,
hard to argue with that when you have a conservative on your side.
and I was going to
Yeah.
say, and on paper, I get that he's a libertarian, but defending George Bush is a very conservative thing to do. Defending Al Gore is a very liberal thing to do. And so, I think when those two things meet, it's sort of like, oh, we'll listen. You know what I mean?
Trust,
like, what are you agreeing about? That doesn't happen.
And they're really good friends. Like go bike riding in the Alps together. Like they're like that close. And so we were surprised to find that out as well. So we were like,
That's like Justice Scalia and Elena Kagan were really good friends, which is like blows my mind.
And Ginsburg and Scalia used to listen to opera together.
Yeah.
They used to love
and
opera.
drink apparently.
Yeah.
Like, apparently,
can't.
apparently he makes really good, or used to make.
I
Really
think
good
it's a
cocktails.
generational thing.
Is Ted Olson's wife Ashley or Mary Kate? Or Elizabeth?
or Elizabeth. Wow.
None of the above.
I'll let Jeff answer that question. I'm
We
at
actually, Ted Olson's wife she's a Democrat.
Okay.
And we love her. It's his fourth wife. Her name is Lady Booth Olson.
I'll kill
She's-
myself. That's the
from-
name.
That's my
she's
drag
from
name. by
I
the
was
way.
going to say, that name is like,
Just
I
FYI.
wish I had been a Lady
If
Booth or
I'm
Lady
ever
Bird.
on RuPaul's Drag Race, I will be Lady Booth Olson.
Her
just
father, her
FYI.
grandfather was not John Wilkes Booth. Just getting it out there,
Thank
making
God.
sure that
She'd be very old.
She would A, be very old, but B, like,
And
what
implicated.
a legacy.
Yeah.
And implicated.
That's true. It would
What
not
a
be a good move.
shameful family history.
Okay, so then you meet with the lawyers and they're like, we want you on board with us. That had to have been terrifying because I have to say, for you to be front and center of certainly the most, if not the most, one of the most influential cases, certainly in my life and in many people's lives, and bringing this country to a modern era. I think that was the first thing that was sort of like, oh, are we catching up? Well, fabulous.
It was the first lawsuit that challenged marriage equality on on federal grounds.
Right.
There had been numerous lawsuits that were sort of state related. We were challenging the federal constitution, which obviously applies to all 50 states.
And with the Supreme Court that wasn't guaranteed to go for you guys.
Nope.
Like that wasn't guaranteed to rule in your favor.
No.
I'll tell you why it was even more scary is because it was a circular firing squad amongst our community. Like we were not looked at as like, we actually were told to our face, oh, you're the troublemakers. Like we got people yelling at us like, you're going to ruin this and set us back decades. And why are you doing this? Oh, every day.
Wait, the gay
every day.
community?
Oh, yeah.
Was that just
Because
sort
of-
of like internalized
it's retro-
homophobia?
It was
or-
the sort of this incrementalism that the community was used to. It was like going state by state. And, you know, if you went state by state, when would you get Mississippi?
Yeah.
We
Oh,
would
at
be dead.
Alabama,
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we would be long dead. And so if it's a discriminatory statute in 2008, it was a discriminatory statute in whatever state you're in. So it doesn't matter. So you just have to fight it on federal grounds because it was all about the Constitution that guarantees us this right.
But they
as a
didn't
human
think that
being.
way. They weren't thinking.
didn't.
They didn't think that the justices on the Supreme Court would side for us. They didn't think that the argument was strong enough. They didn't think that 4 plaintiffs versus 40 was a strong enough suit. It was one thing after another.
They were not supportive because they thought you would lose.
Yeah, they
Because
didn't think
we
it
thought
was the
we'd lose.
right time.
Yeah.
They didn't think the makeup
There's
of the
never
court
a
was
good
good.
time.
Well, let's
to
be
do-
honest as well. There were other influential potential cases that were kind of bubbling as well, and we were the first. I mean, like the story about our suit getting filed was Enrique Menegas, who sat at the
He's an attorney,
He's an
one of our
attorney,
attorneys.
and he actually had the filing and waited till like just before 5 o'clock on a Friday before they knew that this would happen and like submitted it. So we would be the very first federal lawsuit after the Supreme Court of California ruled that Prop 8 could stand, but the marriages that happened in the window could
Right.
also be, continue on. But then what if you were married and you either got divorced or lost your partner, you lost the right to marry. So it just created this weird vacuum.
It's literally
right,
a almost like a bingo lottery where they actually he hands in the case. She looks at it and she rolls and she goes, okay, it's Vaughn Walker is your judge, and stamps it Vaughn Walker. That's
What?
how it works. And it turns
Which
out
is
that
crazy.
Vaughn Walker,
Yeah.
it's Vaughn
Crazy.
Walker, a Republican appointee, turned out to be gay.
Gay himself. My brother worked for him.
Really?
He clerked for him when he lived in San Francisco. And
Wow.
my brother went into that job being a pretty conservative person and left that job with the most open mind.
Oh, that's
like,
so cool.
really did. It did a lot for us.
That's
yeah.
actually really cool. And Vaughn was great that way. Vaughn. It's the first time I've ever called him Vaughn.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
Vaughn.
Lady
What's up,
Vaughn.
Vaughn. Lady Vaughn Booth.
Yes. But that also had to be intimidating because you probably knew that you were about to go through a shit ton of stuff you had already said that hadn't really been hurled at you before. You have to be a strong fucking couple and be so secure in your relationship.
And supportive with each other.
Did any part of you just
want to give up?
buckle
Yeah.
and just we're just like, fuck, this is ruining us? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, it
Do you want
did.
to tell your favorite story?
Well, it was really early on, right after we had filed.
Mind you, by this point, just because it leads into your question, before we actually became plaintiffs in the case, they asked us if we would be willing to be considered. To be considered, we went through like the equivalent
Vetting.
of
FBI
FBI,
an FBI background
searches.
check, yeah.
So there's a binder this big sitting in a lawyer's office where you're sitting across a table and they're like, let's ask you some questions.
And some of my porn.
And
was
that's a lot of
obviously
fucking
there.
pressure too, because it was like
porn was there.
and all your porn.
Yeah. And Jeff was like, does it matter if it's from the chin down?
Right.
And it's like,
You
Yeah.
can't see my face.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you? I mean, they're investing.
Zarillo zany porn.
Wow. Wow.
It was
Don't
wild.
ever do zany porn, please. That will actually be the buckle that breaks us 5 years
Zany
after.
porn. You know what? Now I truly want to go on Pornhub and
And see
search
zany porn?
zany and see if anything
Like it's just all
comes
slide
up.
whistles?
It's just all like yeah, exactly. It's just fully just clowns.
People chasing
Zany
each other
porn.
naked around a couch.
Or it's like the Bellamy boys, just like at the end being like doing a spit take, or be like that was
A literal spit take.
Oh my god! Or when
Oh,
they
a
come,
spit
they're
take
like
with cum?
spit take. Yeah.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say these places that take on these lawsuits, these massive like groundbreaking lawsuits, they're investing a lot of money because this isn't something that obviously you paid for.
No.
And this was also, I imagine that they gave you, I mean, to be front and center like that, because I remember being at like some meetings right after Prop 8 and they were like, really the two people who should be in front of everyone, it should be two women. People just accept that more. It should be two older women and you know what I mean? It should be people that you really feel badly for. And I don't think that gay men are ever perceived as sympathetic. And so that must have been a lot of pressure to sort of be... Please tell your story. But in my head, that you had to be.
And were people mad that you guys were were attractive?
Well, say that.
Were they mad because they were like, oh, these two hot gay men?
Oh my God, I've never heard that.
Promenading up the steps.
Pissed.
I
Okay,
skipped.
so Aaron, I love you for that, but we never heard that part.
Well,
of
we
it.
were told early on that this was going to be that this lawsuit would take all the way to the They thought it would go all the way to the Supreme Court. They thought it would be 18 to 24 months. They said it's just going to be, you're going to have to make some appearances in court, but we never thought it would go to trial. Ultimately, it went to trial. So early on, when after this had been filed, Paul was working at Equinox, stealing the Kiehl's shampoo.
No, they didn't have Kiehl's at that time.
T-shirt band camp.
Like your Facebook comment, we're making me into a dinosaur at this point. So,
But people were coming into the West Hollywood Equinox and giving him crap, calling him a troublemaker.
Yeah, at
So
work.
he came home one
Someone
day
called
and,
Equinox.
and he
And
was livid, and I'm in the kitchen and I'm over like cooking something in the microwave, and he's like, maybe we shouldn't do this. And I slammed the microwave and I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, who cares what these people are saying? At least whether we win or lose, we can go to our graves saying, well, you know what? We weren't going to stand being treated as second-class citizens.
Oh, I got chills.
So
yes,
and that's the last time. It was early on. That's the only time and the last time we ever had any intrepidation about what we were entering into, because it would ultimately be a 4.5 year battle.
And we also didn't think we would be testifying, actually like being trained to testify as a witness and then to be cross-examined and all of that, prep work. So as soon as it was announced that it was going to be an actual people would testify, like everything turned at that moment. We were like, oh, no. We looked at our lawyers and they looked at us like, oh shit.
What were
here we go.
What questions could they ask you on cross-examination or whatever?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's more because Paul was the only one that got cross-examined.
What could they ask
I would
you
too.
about?
I look at you and I don't trust you immediately. I know you're hiding secrets. Jeff, I would invite to breakfast, lunch, and dinner with me.
It's just
you
'cause of the
are
porn.
shady.
Thank you for having us. But Lady Booth is now leaving the show.
Honey.
Exactly.
What did they
Hunty.
ask you?
Okay, so
Vanjie?
this is this. I'm going to miss
Honey.
Vanjie on the way out.
Please.
Trust me.
You did Miss Vanjie on the way out of that court, probably.
Oh,
You're
God.
probably like, Miss Vanjie.
I took that pregnant pause down that last one. Miss Vanjie.
Hi, guess who?
No.
It's Mondo.
I hate this.
Casper is a sleep brand that I know and love. Don't you know it? All my cockatiels named Entryway, they all love my Casper mattresses. Hi, if you don't know, the secret to Mondo is animal plus weird thing. Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience one night at a time. With 3 mattress models, the original Casper, the Wave, and the Essential, Casper mattresses are perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry.
You sound slightly different than normal.
No, it's me, Mondo, the hysterical, gender-neutral person who keeps people captive in their own condo, and it's questionable whether or not they've murdered all their family. Casper's delivered right to your door in a small, how do they do that, size box with free shipping and returns in U.S. and Canada. Oh no, my tiny miniature sheep got out, named Highlight. Here he goes.
I hate you.
I got a bunch of new animals. Worms named Cereal. A bunch of set of bees named Beats by Dre. And I got a birdhouse named House. After all, you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping. Shouldn't it be comfortable? Oh, I love to breathe. And that's what the Casper loves to do, too. It breathable design helps you sleep cool, regulates your body temperature throughout the night. Doesn't matter who's sleeping on the Casper. Me, Coney, Cher, all my
The
hostages.
Coney we were trying to find a couple years
Coney,
back.
my sister-in-law, yeah.
okay.
Oh, she tried to sue me from her bedroom. When I got my Caspers, you know what I did? I unlocked that mattress, put all of my pet rabbits, pet turtles, pet goldfish, but in the jar, right on the mattress, and we all took a nice nap
It's really
to
unsanitary.
the dulcet tones of the opera. Get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting Casper.com/Shade and using Shade at checkout. That's Casper.com/Shade. Offer code Shade at $50 off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. Hey, it's your old friend Stinky Al Pony.
Hey, buddy.
You know I love to shave. I gotta get it clean shaved, but that clean will make you pound. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. You name it: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel. Oh, even a wipe that'll leave your tushy feeling tingly, klingly. I'm a big fan of their Admiral and Lavender Calming Body Cleanser. It takes off all my clown makeup because you know I don't just put it on my face, I also put it on my body. Weird looking nipples,
Even the
weird
part
looking
under
elbows.
the clothes?
Yeah,
Why?
makeup on the inside. That's for me.
Makeup on the inside?
My face is for the kids and the body's for me.
Oh.
All the Dollar Shave Club products are great, and they're all made with top shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. Oh, I gotta get on the top shelf. I gotta stand on my clown friends. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club products for $5. You can get their Daily's Essential Starter Set. It comes with body cleanser, one wipe Charlie's. That's for your bum. Their world famous shave butter and their best razor ever, the 6-blade Executive. I've never met an executive except sometimes I do corporate events. I bring my stinky old pony, me, and my stinky old pony, a real pony, and I go into offices and I sit on the conference table and I shoot water out of a flower into executives' faces. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in shampoo, because toothpaste, anything else you need. Check it out at dollarshaveclub.com/shade. That's dollarshaveclub.com/shave. Honk, honk. Oh, I guess who?
I don't understand why.
Customize. Do you ever heard of Burrow Sofa? It's a beautiful sofa that you can put in any of your condos to fit your personality. All you have to do is select the color, size, and armrest height. That's perfect for you. There's very few decisions to make, unlike the decision I had to make. I had to decide where to put my snake pit. For my snakes,
Where to
they're
keep
all
your
named
pet?
Sylvia Plath.
Aw.
And so I decided to build a wall unit so they all slither up and down the walls.
She had a tragic life.
I don't know anything about her. Isn't that funny? Burrow assembles and disassembles in just minutes with no tools required. So when it comes time to move, Burrow gives you one less thing to worry about. With stain-resistant fabric and a built-in USB charger, you can do all your devices right into your couch. Burrow has the durability and functionality to keep up with your hectic life. You know, I don't let Coney charge any of her devices because I just don't want her. We have a landline. You
Mondo,
don't need to use cell
what do
phone.
you think USB stands for?
United States of Beatrice.
That's right.
Burrow furniture is shipped fast and shipping is free. Not like all my rabbit pelts that I gotta buy for my rabbits. Do you know I serve rabbits their own pelts? Enjoy 30 days of cozy on your Burrow, risk-free, or try out Burrow at one of their showrooms today. You know, I had many couches, and my condo especially is very small. So that's why I'm glad that Burrow fits right in between all of my things. My antique china cabinets, my industrial-sized metal shelves that I got at Costco, all of it. Well, I gotta have room. You wouldn't believe how much bird feed I have in my house.
Do you have birds, though?
No. For $75 off your order, visit burrow.com/shade. That's burrow.com/shade for $75 off your purchase.
So, anyways,
Case dismissed.
the reason I think that here's the thing, it's opposite what you think about Jeff and me. Well, I was so nice during my deposition. I answered every question with a smile. It might have been a passive aggressive smile, but I did. I answered everything, and I thought the opposing lawyer thought I would be the easiest to break because I had an emotional background, coming from theater, and I'm in fitness, and I'm so lovey and the whole 9 yards. And he tried to break me on the stand, but their questions are as stupid as, in terms of deposition and cross-examination, like about your love life. Is this really who you are? Have you ever touched a woman in a way that you think that you might not be gay? By the way, why do you think that the propaganda had anything to do with lies and misrepresentations when we talked about protecting your children from gay people? Like no joke.
And
The
what-
Oh my
stupidest-
God.
How
the
do you
stupidest
answer
question.
How
that?
do you even keep a straight face? Like
I was
would've-
livid.
I don't blame you.
What did
so
you say?
So on the stand, I was actually nice until a certain point where he put words in my mouth, and I literally went, "That's not what I said." And I looked at our lawyers like, I don't want to be perceived as being aggressive, so I was trying to be a bit passive and answer the questions, and also answer them succinctly and don't add too much. And our lawyers were looking at me like, "Yeah, just go." So I got this guy to turn so red in the face in federal court. He was like about to pop because I was like, "Listen, MFer, you try to cross me on this. You're trying to tell me that my life is not valid, and you have no legitimate reason to be here. You're talking about like responsible procreation. That's the only reason that we shouldn't be married. We're having a really effing good time trying." But we're never going to get there, so get over it. So the fact of the matter is, it was all about trying to defame you as a human being. It wasn't based. It's easy when you're in a courtroom and there's like actual like precedent, or there is a witness that has an expertise in something that can affect your outcome.
Sure.
This was like, "Hey, Paul, are you sure you're gay? Why are you so mad about the propaganda? Are you a school teacher? So how do you know that kids shouldn't learn about this stuff? Shouldn't?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So I answered as directly as I could without just flipping the guy
And
off.
was he
but, yeah.
was he like frustrated because he knew that he had picked the wrong person?
Yes.
To, yeah.
I think when I said that's not what I said, he was like, "Damn it, we should have gotten Jeff because you'd want to invite him to lunch and break on it, I got you, Brian.
But by the way, though, I have to say again, like, what fucking pressure to basically be absolutely perfect. I mean, you really, and by the way, like you mentioned before, a lot of that pressure probably coming from the gay community.
Sure.
Of course.
I even remember when I volunteered before Prop 8, I was volunteering to, just around West Hollywood, making sure people were going to vote no on 8, that whole thing. And I remember that specific, and I did it all over town, but specifically in West Hollywood, gay guys coming up and saying, "I'm going to vote yes." And I couldn't believe it.
Really?
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes my head.
And you
that
think
breaks
that's
my heart.
internalized homophobia?
I think it was just like, we're not falling for that.
like
No.
that's not our
Yeah.
lifestyle.
It was crazy.
I think that do you think that those people who were so against it understood the protections and the rights that we give American married people?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think that they knew like
That this is actually unequal and very unfair.
yeah, and
I
the
don't
fact
think
that you
did.
get cut out of wills and hospital visits.
There's over
Right.
1,000 federal rights that we do not get by not being married.
Is there a funny one? Was there one that you were like, wait, they get that?
You actually get free Kiehl's shampoo.
That's number
It's a pretty good bet.
994.
That would be number 2 or 3 for me.
Yeah. Paragraph 2, sentence 4, Keels. What's interesting about that is people said, "Well, I don't want to get married anyway, so why do I care?" And I'm like, "Well, you care because this is about equality.
Yeah.
It's not about marriage. It's like the cake case that just came down in the Supreme
Right.
Court. It's not about freaking cakes. So we had a friend on Facebook literally say, like, "I'm going to sound off on this right now, but take your business elsewhere." And I was like,
I know.
If I'm going to reach through Facebook and I'm not going to poke you, I'm going to poke you in the eye." But it was like one of those things where I'm like, wow, that apathy, that kind of misunderstanding,
Completely.
that kind of like, yeah. So
and by the way,
have
you
to
want to
remind
talk about Mississippi. So say you are somewhere where there is one fucking cake shop,
Thank you.
or
Yeah.
one stationery
Thank you.
store,
And
or
by
one.
the way, is that baker asking the couple that walks in that's straight if they're Muslim, if they believe
If
in
they've been
God, if they're
divorced.
divorced?
Exactly.
You're not putting people through the same filter that you are for gay people.
No.
So, GFY, I say.
I would say that about any person who's on the wrong side of gayness.
Absolutely.
I think that they're not filtering anything else.
And you also
Absolutely.
like fill it in with
Absolutely.
any other descriptor, and you would not stand for it.
Right.
No.
Yes.
No,
No.
exactly. Not at all.
But that's another fucked up thing. I do feel like the cake guy might be like, "Are you Muslim? I'm not going to do it." Like that's just a slippery slope of letting people do that.
Was
Then they
there-
could do it
was
to
there-
anybody.
You're right.
Was there a
Yeah.
justice that you were the most impressed with?
Ginsburg.
Ginsburg's great. Ginsburg's so great.
I love her.
Did anyone smile at you?
No, they would. They don't.
They like
don't
poker
like
face the
that.
whole time.
Well,
You
what's
can't see
interesting
Ginsburg
is
because she's hunched over
if-
for most of the part.
Right.
And
Sure.
anytime she speaks, the funny thing is everyone leans in.
because you can't.
courtroom.
Because she's literally like that.
Yeah, she's like,
What is it for?
It's true.
The skin milk marriage.
And meanwhile, she's saying the most brilliant.
Yes.
Did you just say is skim milk
Well,
marriage?
that's what
said
she.
that.
That's what she called. Well, in the Windsor case that was argued the day after
Yeah.
us, she had said, "Isn't this the equivalent of? Isn't domestic partnership sort of the equivalent of like skim milk marriage?"
I said that's
what her-
brilliant.
right, that's
But
what
wait,
she said.
what
but
does
she
that
said it
mean?
like
It just means it's not a whole thing. Domestic
right.
partnership
Thing.
isn't giving you the whole thing.
Right.
It's giving
But
you a part of something.
Clarence
kicked her out
Thomas,
that
who is notorious, does not. I think he's asked one question in the last 5 years. He lets the lawyers argue. They have their clerks behind them who are like handing them things. He constantly was like this.
Turning
talking
in
to
his
a
seat.
cleric,
No one could see you,
this,
Jeff.
Back. Yeah, that's true. He was just kept turning. He was so disinterested. He couldn't have cared less. And then
Because he just
listening
knew
to Ted
going in what he was going to do. Yeah.
listening to Ted and Scalia go at it was really great because they're actually really good friends, or were actually really good friends because Scalia's dead.
Right.
Yes.
I tap dance on his grave every week.
Yeah, ding dong.
yeah.
That's fabulous. Were they? What was what was the shittiest thing you heard? from
It
that?
was definitely Justice Alito comparing the newness of marriage for gay people to cell phones, the newness of cell phones.
We don't know
It was
what
like
this
an
is going to be
experiment,
like.
you
It's
know?
an experiment. Let's just see how the states go.
Let's see how it plays out with these gays getting married.
It's
state
so
by
insane
state.
that this was only really, if you really think about it, in the grand scheme of things, a few years ago. This was a minute ago, and
Less than a car lease.
and that allegedly the most brilliant minds in America are
Yep.
asking you these
Don't let
questions.
people
and
tell you
making
that the
these
Supreme Court is
associations.
not partisan. It's partisan.
It's
It has
partisan.
to be.
It's
And
ideological.
yeah.
They are definitely influenced by public opinion and the news and what's happening, but they come from an ideology. You know, that's why they're appointed by, you know, specific Republican and Democrat.
Except for some of the Reagan point, like Sandra Day O'Connor, at the end of it was leaning left, and Kennedy also.
Correct. Yep.
Because you know what I've heard? I've actually heard that men, as they get older, get more conservative, and women, as they get older, become more liberal.
Huh.
And I think that's because.
They're
I think
tired
it's
of the
privilege.
shit?
I think
Oh.
it's privilege. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. I think women are like, wait, fuck this. Like, that's crazy.
I do
when
think
you
it-
look back on your life and you're like, I had such a disadvantage.
I think it takes a really long time for women to come out of the haze of the stuff that they were told they were supposed to think and
Exactly.
and do. Yeah.
And that men generally are like, oh, I had it made and now I'm older. Fuck that. No one can have it. You know what I mean? And I get it. You can sort of see like.
That's actually really an interesting. That's an interesting point.
And
mean,
I think
about
it's
it that
probably
way.
specifically, if you really get down to it, straight white men.
Yeah,
It's probably
I was
the
gonna
men we're
say-
talking
was gonna say
about.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did when the verdict was read,
It's Sam. Sam, it feels that
Oh,
way.
yeah, sorry.
Sam already feels that he's better than everyone and that you get more conservative with each year, don't you?
By the minute.
Yeah.
Sam did not share his lollipop.
That's
all I'm
what I mean. And that's a metaphor for everything.
so straight white
He
male-
does
white
not
male
believe in
privilege.
welfare.
You're
He
really
doesn't
talking
believe-
about a lollipop, though, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about social programs, but yeah.
when the case, the decision was read, did you feel lost afterwards because you didn't have this to do? Like, did you feel relief? But then your life
Well,
must have
that's
been
interesting.
like.
Was it like after winning the Oscar and there's a come down the next day?
Yeah, you got to find. Are you on to the next case?
We literally.
Yeah, right. What do we sue for now?
My face.
Can you imagine?
It was all about greed.
I love it.
Exactly.
My Facebook status said the next day.
Quick,
Today,
Jeff, fall down the stairs.
today I'm mowing the lawn, and that's all. That's what I did. We went home and mowed the lawn, and for us, though, it
It's
was
true.
interesting. Is even after the case, is we had this build up for the documentary because the documentary team was following us the entire 4.5 years. So there was this time. Now we were going and doing some follow up interviews with the documentary team, and leading up to our release of the documentary at Sundance in January of 2014. And then it premiered on HBO during Pride Month.
It's
in
playing
2014.
this month as
and
well.
it is playing. It's playing
On HBO.
It plays on HBO every June. So
Were you guys also on the miniseries?
When We Rise, we were in
Yes.
the last episode.
You were the last episode.
We played ourselves.
That was weird.
You guys got into SAG because of a
That
lawsuit?
did.
We are SAG
has
eligible.
to be
Anyone out
weird.
there listening? Who
That
needs
has to be weird playing yourself.
It was bizarre because we were the only. At first, we declined. We're like, no, you have actors playing everybody else. Like, you should have actors playing the plaintiffs. And obviously, we know Dustin Lance Black very well, who's very involved with our case, and a producer,
Bruce Cohen.
Bruce Cohen was also there, and so they kind of played mom versus like dad in terms of like getting us all four to agree to do it. And it was. At first we were very, very hesitant. We're like, how does this play? And then you have this premiere in the Castro Theater in San Francisco, which is notoriously like unfiltered, right?
Right.
They will let
Oh,
you
San Francisco don't give a
know.
fuck.
No.
And so here I am in a theater that I passed growing up where I was afraid to come out, watch the March for Harvey Milk go by this theater, and like here we are in this theater and this thing is going to air. And we're thinking, oh God, oh God, oh God. And it went over like so
great, yeah.
well that they were like, wow, that's an interesting thing that's like really never been done before. And so Bruce, of course, was like, yeah, we told you. And I was like, okay, all
And
right.
it was cool
but
because
cool.
in between all the takes, because we were the only ones that really were there. We were everyone else was actors. They wanted to know, like, that Lance would yell cut, and then Guy Pearce, who plays Cleve Jones, would look at me and he goes, so how did it, like, what happened after that? Because, obviously it's being distilled down into a mini series.
We're like,
what
do your
happened
work,
then?
guy. Do your research.
Like, none of your business.
Really? Come on.
I'm not a paid consultant.
Seriously. What?
Did you see what I just gave now?
Right, exactly. I
gave
need
everything.
at least 5 minutes to collect myself.
Don't
before
you
I answer
realize
your
that I'm
question.
SAG eligible? You can fuck right off, Mr.
You take
Pierce.
that baby and you go fucking give me a break.
Trust me, we talked about that baby a lot. While
That
we were
baby,
did,
that Palm
yeah.
Springs
I kind of
baby.
fell in love with Guy Pearce in Vancouver.
He was great.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Oh my God. And so sweet and so like look you in the eye and like, let me sing you a song. I have my
He
guitar.
would play guitar in between takes.
And I'm
I don't like that.
I'm like, what are you trying to do? Yeah. No? Does that freak you out a little bit?
To
I
John
don't-
Mayer.
I don't like live music in intimate situations. Like if I walk into a bar and I see live music, I turn the fuck around. I
Is it
don't
because you
like-
feel like you have to be like I get
Yes.
this pressure to be like engaged? Oh, that's so good.
As a
But if
performer-
it's actually good and charming, that's different.
then it's different.
How do you determine that in that moment?
You know the minute you walk
You just
in.
get a feeling?
If you hear like a klezmer or a xylophone or like
it's time
a,
to go.
I'm there for a klezmer. And
I
actually,
don't even know what a
xylophone.
klezmer
I
is.
guess it's just a loud instrument for a small space.
I
got
see.
it.
I also have. This is not about me.
Now I want you to finish that sentence.
Well, I have crazy sensitive hearing, and so if I'm in an enclosed space,
So do you.
Yeah. And there's too much noise. I can't concentrate.
You and me both.
Yeah.
God
I
forbid
get it.
there's like a TV and a radio going at the same time. I'm like, something needs to stop. Something needs to stop right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I live on
Chaos.
all kinds of noise.
That's why you want to go to breakfast with Jeff.
I will
'cause you and
literally
Jeff
have
love
a
that.
podcast playing while my TV is on, just so that I have noise with me in every room I walk in.
Same
Jeff.
Same Jeff.
You too?
That's
can't.
a little much.
You know
Is
what?
that why your porns always have 3 soundtracks?
Yeah, that's why they're zany.
Yeah. This is the best thing ever. Zany porn is the best thing ever because it starts with a Z and your last name is this is
Zany Zarilla
Oh,
porn.
yeah, this is fantastic.
Where can people send thank you cards? Do you feel like people? I mean, I know you don't feel like this, but
Do they kiss the hand?
No. But I'll tell you, we have gotten incredible messages all over the world for years. Even people that have used the documentary in a way of coming out to their parents. They'll come out to their parents, they'll play the documentary, and they talk to us. They send us Facebook messages and emails from all over
that's
the
kinda
world.
cool.
Well, you guys
about
truly, I mean, how many people can you say this about? Like, you really changed America and you really helped all of this. I mean, I've never really seen anything as rapid as, I will say specifically, LG acceptance.
Right. Right.
Since all this.
And that's smart because you're right. The T and the B.
do you think that's
yes.
the next? Do you think trans rights is the next?
I think it's been the next thing, and
Yeah.
I hope it. I have a friend, and I think it depends on where you live. I think it's another thing that depends on where you live. That
Right.
like, I have a friend who is a school teacher who now their school is required, and this is a great thing, to instead of saying after recess, like, or before, I don't remember if it was before lunch or before recess or something, to say to the elementary kids, like, all right, time to go to the little boys' room, time to go to the little girls' room. They say like, go to whichever bathroom you want. Like, that's what they say now.
Well, that's cool because it's going to start a whole concept and environment of feeling safe and feeling that you could be yourself. And regardless of that, we should be tearing down those walls, regardless, trans or not. We should be tearing down
Kids
those
don't
walls.
give a fuck.
They don't.
They don't.
It's
They
the
really
parents that give a fuck, and and that's why like
And don't forget-
trans people are still more victimized than anywhere
Absolutely.
else in America.
We can't forget about this court ruling from this week. I know it was a narrow ruling in the Masterpiece Baker case, but this I call it religious exemption case because saying religious
Special
freedom
rights.
sounds.
You know what? You're right. I keep
Special
saying
rights.
religious freedom.
It's a
and that's
religious
wrong.
exemption case. That's coming down the pipeline. I mean, that's definitely something that we have. You see that the far right really doesn't talk about marriage equality anymore. They know they've lost that
That's
battle.
right.
They focus on this religious freedom, they call it. It's like this persecution from.
But their
because-
right to discriminate.
Their right
Yeah.
to discriminate based on
Special
deeply held
rights.
religious beliefs.
They
It's-
have
it's-
special
it's
rights.
Special
They've
rights.
always had special rights. They don't pay taxes. They're protected. The speech is protected. Their proselytizing is protected. They can actually like file as an organization to get special exemptions for like employment protections for their. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And they
It's
export their
absolutely
hate
ridiculous.
all over the world.
It's
They go to
ridiculous.
Russia, they go to Romania, they
Right.
go to all of these places that are not as certainly not as far along culturally as we are, but not as educated as we are
Yeah.
on the issues. So they spew this hateful propaganda, and that for them is a way to continue to move the homophobia forward and
awful.
the transphobia
They
forward.
take advantage of the ignorant. And the other thing that I want, just going back to your point, Brian, about like, this case, and thank you. It's very generous to say what you say. We kind of merged with something that has been going on for a long
Sure.
time. So we had an opportunity, and we very early on decided that it was not about Paul and Jeff and Chris and Sandy. The four of us decided that we erased our own, interest in this, even though it was our interest to be married and we would benefit from it, obviously. But everyone that we met that had lost someone, everyone that we had met where a body was stolen away from someone that had been with for 30
so
years,
heartbreaking.
that they couldn't go to the funeral, that they couldn't say goodbye. Every time we heard that, we were like, this is not about us. And by the way, we did go back and study the Baker case from 1972 and 73 that started a lot of this kind of idea of how we can get around to protect ourselves with the law. So we just realized at a certain point that this was one small part of a massive movement
Right.
that we could participate in. And if we could participate and help in any way, it doesn't just enrich the community and change history and change America. What it does is it changes our lives in the way we react to each other in our home and within our families and our communities. And sometimes you got to amplify on both of those levels so that you can live a better life, that you can have a more rich kind of understanding of who you are and not go to your deathbed like we've met so many people who are regretful of not living their lives. And that's the worst part of it. That's where I think I love you said that kids don't give a fuck because they don't. They're like, don't label me. I'm
gonna-
not gay.
they don't
I'm
want it.
over.
Those
Yeah.
kids that are going to save the LGBT community from this religious persecution, and it's also those kids that are going to help out with the gun control. So
Yeah.
that's. But when they say it's generational, it sort of is generational. As much as you hate saying that, but homophobia, racism, transphobia, all that stuff. You're not born that way. You're taught that. It's part of the environment that you live in. So it's as the older generation does go away, that will certainly.
That's so
help.
nice.
When
Oprah
they-
straight up says
when
they
they
need to
go
die.
to Florida,
Yeah,
you mean when they die.
I'm not going to be honest.
and when they don't have power.
The future is bright, and
future is
I
bright.
think that I actually think that the Conservative Party doesn't want you to think that, but the future is very bright, and we're lucky for it. Jeff, Paul, I hope you guys have an amazing Pride Month. I'm sure this is probably the busiest time of year for you, right?
It is a very busy time because
Yeah.
we do our podcast every Sunday too, right here, right just a few lights down at Sunset
You do?
Tower.
We do.
Yeah.
When does it come out? Plug it.
It's the husbands, right?
It's called The Husbands. It's at UBN Radio is where we are. It's ubnradio.com or on iTunes and iHeartRadio and Spotify.
Fabulous.
And it's we do it live on Sunday mornings at 10, but it drops on Tuesdays for subscription.
And anything else you guys want to promote or anything
What's
like
our
that?
Instagram? Our
Yeah, do
handle
all that
there.
stuff. Where are you at?
We have 2 Instagram accounts because I'm trying to get Jeff on Instagram and he keeps fighting like a cat in water. It's my Instagram account is just Paul Katami, which is where most of our stuff happens because he won't. And we also have one that's Jeff Z for zany porn and Paul K. So it's actually Jeff Z A-N-D Paul K. And that's where we're trying to build the husband's following there.
And check out
Slide
the
into their
documentary.
DMs
please.
and
Slide. What's the best place for
And yet the
people to get
documentary.
involved? Oh yeah, the documentary is on HBO right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's throughout the month, but you can always watch it on HBO Go.
Yes.
It's called The Case Against 8.
And where can people? What do you think the best way for people to get involved in the movement who maybe have been sitting on the sidelines? What do you think the best thing for them to do is?
There are so many different things you could do. You could do something as simple as this. You could take the toiletries that you find in your hotel room, bag them up, bring them home, and donate them to the LGBTQ Center because it's the number one thing these kids need.
That is a fabulous idea. I'm going to Budapest on Sunday, guys, for 10 days. So thank you so much. It's going to be great. It's going to be lovely. I will do that.
Yeah, little things like that. And that's the easiest thing. I mean,
and the most important thing is to be out there living your truth, talking about who you are and who you love, and letting people know that you're out and you're proud, because our straight allies are so important to the entire movement. They help further the story too. So when people know that they live with, they work with, they go to school with, they live around the corner from a gay person, a trans person, and they realize that they love that person just like any other person, then that helps move us forward. So being out and being proud and telling your stories. I know it's not easy to do that everywhere, but you have to do it.
And there's so many organizations, regardless of what your love is. If you love entertainment, GLAAD, right? Because they're making sure entertainment's responsible for having positive, influential characters that represent diversity. If you are more political, Human Rights Campaign. They're huge in terms of lobbying and getting involved. And each one of these places, the LGBTQ centers,
Glisten,
Trevor Project. If you want to take phone calls from suicidal youth, there's so many things that you can find your passion for helping and do it that way. And each one of these places has a venue for you to go and learn and become more integrated. It's Project Angel Food, packing meals. It's all these little things that you can do once a year or 100 times a year. It's out there. You can do it.
And if you can't donate your time, donate your money.
Exactly.
Because these organizations need your money. It's these organizations that are going to help move us forward. And these cases that go to court, they're not cheap. So we need the fundraising.
I just want to say, you're wearing a shirt right now that says "Love Wins," and I couldn't agree more. I'm sure you also believe that marriage wins. I'm here to tell you that's not the case for everyone.
So where are you going in Budapest?
Thank you so much for coming on and fighting for Brian's right to get married then divorced.
That's right.
And then married again.
And then you never know. Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm riding this train till it shuts down.
Good news. You meet someone there, you can bring them here and get married now.
That's true.
Just saying.
That's what I'm at.
You bring back
now
a husband.
You've inspired.
Bring back a husband.
Nah, it's going to be the biggest rebound.
I want toiletries and a husband when you come back, Brian.
Honey, I'm going to show him off at Equinox. I love you.
I had this book, laughing at me from my bookshelf. Oh, smart boy, you can't read me. Well, I can read you, Jude the Obscure. I'm Michael Ian Black, and this is Obscure, in which I read Jude the Obscure out loud and comment on it as I go. There must be literally tens of people who will go with me on this journey. Subscribe to Obscure wherever you listen.